All right, hello everyone. Since I got to camp a little bit early today, I thought we could look at my tent. It is made by Cascade Designs, or MSR, and it is known as the Hubba HP. MSR actually has Hubbas still to this day. The HP basically is a moniker, which I'll explain in a second. For some reason, MSR stopped selling the HP version in the United States. So when I purchased this in late 2008 or early 2009, I actually had to order it overseas from a bike shop, and they shipped it over to me. So you may ask, why is the HP special? It's actually this fabric right here. On most of the Hubba tents, this bathtub stops and then it's mesh all the way up the tent. And I wanted the fabric on the tent because it makes it a 3+ season tent. And I felt that was important for Colorado. I actually purchased this in, again, late 2008, 2009 for the Colorado Trail. I've used it on the PCT, I've used it on the CDT, and various other overnight and weekend and backpacking trips. It's a bomb-proof tent. I love this thing. I've only had 2 repairs. The first repair was this mesh part right here. I did use this tent for the Colorado Trail, which Bo hiked with me, and that was a really wet year on the Colorado Trail. So when we would get into camp, I would throw the tent up in 3 minutes, get all the mosquitoes off Bo because they would bother him nonstop, and I would throw him in the tent. And then I'd put on my rain gear and keep the flapjack fools away from me while I set up the rest of camp and blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, I think it was the second or third night on the trip, I had put Bo in the tent. I went to go hang our food, and Bo got unnerved. And so he jumped up and ripped this mesh part and came and found me, which is an adorable story, except we now had ripped mesh on our tent, and we still had, I think it was 32 more days or 33 more days of hiking. So we had to do a field repair, and then I sent it into MSR and they replaced that mesh for us. The second repair I actually made right before this trip. The zipper wasn't working correctly, so I sent it into MSR. They replaced that zipper, and those are the only 2 repairs I've had since I got the tent in 2008. You can see there are some stains and dirt because it's being used for 13 years, but again, it's a great tent. When it was first brought out, again 2008 or 9, with the footprint, the tent, the rainfly, and the stakes and poles, it weighed between 3 to 4 pounds, and that's it. And that was quite a light tent back then. Nowadays, this would be considered like a medium or maybe a heavyweight tent. There are tarp tents and some other tents that are made by companies that weigh like 1 to 2 pounds. And I don't know if they're 3 season. They're easier to carry. Sometimes they're easier to actually put together, but put together meaning assemble at the campsite. But this tent has, as I said, it's been bomb-proof for me. So I'll walk around here because you can see that there's only 1 pole that's being used, and the pole goes right down the middle of the tent, and then at the bottom here it branches out at the 4 corners. That 1 pole is also where the rainfly is attached. So it's just 1 pole that basically collapses down, and that's used for the entire tent. Apologies for the cam work. I'm trying to move around and talk and do the camera all at the same time. So I put a few pieces of gear inside the tent just for reference here. And of course the zipper, there we go. So inside the tent here is, you can see the bathtub goes all the way around. I put just a couple pieces of stuff in there just so you can get kind of a scale. This tent is long enough that I can put my my air mattress or my sleeping pad in there, and there's a room at the very top and at the bottom for me to put in some belongings. Side to side, there's also room when I put my pad in there, so I can put like clothes and other things on the side. There are pockets on the side of the tent, and at the very top, oh, my rainfly is flying away. At the very top, you'll see that there's actually a shelf, a mesh shelf that goes across all 4 corners. I've pinned it to 2 corners, so I have a kind of a pocket up there. And I also like the fact that I want the tent to breathe a bit, so at the very top there, I don't want that shelf to be all the way across. I want the tent to breathe just a little bit. So you'll also see that if I sit down in this tent, I actually don't hit my head. So it's tall enough for me to lay down flat. I'm 5'11", and there's room at the top and bottom. And when I sit in here, I don't hit my head on the top. So it's very spacious. Believe it or not, there's enough room in here where I slept in here and Bo slept in here for the Colorado Trail. So that extra room on the sides was great for us to be able to use this tent to sleep in and keep each other warm. So that is the tent itself. I'm going to close this because we do have that was some horrible camera work, my apologies. We do have some mosquitoes and stuff around. So the rainfly, which is currently on the ground because it fell off my bag, this is the green one, so this is the replacement. The old one, original one, was yellow, and the issue with the yellow one was a couple of items. First, well, I had this set up and then it fell off my bag. So the zipper right here on the inside, some of the fabric started to fray, and so the zipper wasn't working properly. I also had a couple of holes that appeared because it was 13 years old, so I need to get those repaired. You know, it's not waterproof if there's holes. But the main issue are these seams. So the tent, well, this is the rainfly, excuse me, but the tent and the rainfly, the seams will be sealed with tape, and what will happen is over time the tape will start to turn white and it will start flaking off, and that means that your seams are no longer sealed. And that's what happened with my my yellow rainfly. So when I started the trip, the seam tape looked just fine. There weren't any issues, but as I hiked across the desert and then as I got in Colorado, the seam tape started to wear away. And so if you have a rainfly and you start seeing on the inside some whiteness and some flaking, that means that your tape is starting to peel away and your seams are not going to be sealed. And so you can take it to a repair shop to have them redo the seals with the tape, or you can do it yourself. You just have to scrub off the old stuff, and then there's a product that you can put on top of this to reseal the seams. I actually have the product to do it myself. Unfortunately, again, the issue didn't present itself until I got out on the trail. So once I finish up the trail, I will clean up the yellow rainfly. I'll take all the old seam steel stuff off, which is white and peeling, and then I'll reseal the seams. I will patch the 3 holes or 2 or 3 holes that I have, and then I'll look at the zipper and see if I can do something to save the zipper, or repair it, or make it work. So the nice thing about these rainflies for the Hub HP is there is a window that you can open up on the far side of the tent by the mesh, and this window allows a little bit more air to get into the tent and help prevent condensation, since the fabric on the tent, again, it's a 3-season tent, but it can keep the warmth in there, and sometimes you know, it's good to open up the window and allow the air to breathe through the fabric. So that's my tent. I did not put the rainfly on because I wanted to show what the issues were, but the rainfly essentially just goes right over the top. It uses, again, the same pole. So, oops, my finger is blurring everything. Camera work, not my strength. So the green rainfly will go right over the tent, and then I'll stake it down, and it's a total of 8 stakes. I like to stake the rainfly separate because that means if one stake comes up in a corner, I still have a stake down, either on the tent or the rainfly. So once the rainfly's on, I can actually pull down the straps pretty hard, and this thing does not go anywhere. So as I said before, I think twice already, it's a pretty bomb-proof tent. It's easy setup. It takes 5 minutes at the most if I'm hurried by rain. I think that's it for the tent. So if you if anybody has any specific questions about the tent that I did not address, then let me know, and I'll answer those for you. So have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.